My name is Kha. Welcome to our presentation. Our project is about a music emoji recommender app. Our team has 4 members. In this presentation, we will have 7 sections. The first one is project overview. The second one is scope of the project. The third one is functional, non-functional requirement and constraint. The next one is activity diagram. Following up is class diagram. The next one is data flow diagram, and the last one is project development plan. So about our project is an emotion-based music recommendation system, aka music, that maximizes customer listening experience with effortless accurate sound suggestion by AI technology. In addition, the system will record, analyze, and give personalized advice on how to improve one's well-being, while the application is suitable for people of all ages, gender, and background. Customers who would most benefit from our app are the people who have difficulty or extreme emotional stage, such as hyperactivity disorder or depression. So our project can do emotion identification, music recommendation, reporting, personalized well-being advice, and tips. Next up, Hill will tell you more about our project.
Hi, my name is Hill, and I will be talking about some functional requirement and non-functional requirements of our projects. Our music app product will focus on 7 main functions, which are downloading songs, podcasts, emotion identifications, music suggestions, reporting the result, giving you advice on your mood and the ability to connect with well-being professional. In addition, we have a function to supervise minors. Next is for non-functional requirement that we are focusing on the viabilities, the response times, the maintainabilities and mobilities of the products. Continue with the constraints. We have interface to other applications, reliability requirements, safety and securities, and some regulatory policies. The next version is Ka, where we continue talking about activities diagram.
Hi, it's me again. So this is our general activity diagram. To start off, a user login into our system. Then the system will ask whether the user is a supervisor user or a member user. If the user chooses to be a supervisor, then it will check for related supervised member. If there's none, then the supervisor user can request for supervision permission. Then the system will check for its condition. If it is invalid, then it will return to the previous step. If it is valid, it will return to the check for related supervised member step. At this point, we have a supervised member already, so it is available. And the supervisor can select which member they would like to supervise, and then they can use the supervision function as normal. This is where the supervised functions flows end. Let's return to the start point. So I use the login into our system again. This time, they choose to be a member user. Then the system will do the emotion identification, and then it will monitor, analyze, generate a report. Then the user can use all the functions such as get music suggestion, download songs, get health tips, connect to a health professional, and get activity report. Bear in mind that our system can be closed at any point of time.
Thank you, Carl. Now I'm going to talk about the class diagram that we have designed for this project. So first of all, we have the user class. The class is an abstract class that offers limited functions to the non-registered registered customer inside the system. So mainly the guests. It is inherited by 2 specific child classes, and they are customer class and the supervisor class. A customer class, a registered member inside the system, and the supervisor is a user that can supervise the customer. So the relationship between the supervisor and the customer are usually the guardians and the child, parents and their kids. And it can also be a family member and a member that is underage. So next, we will have the controller. So this app controller will be the heart of the system. It will handles and controls the request from the user classes that are sent and the database. So it acts as a connector between these. So it will handle and control the request from the user, make sure make sure that it retrieves and returns the appropriate data from the database to the user. It also saves cache to faster load the previous data before the program ends. So it's like the user can retrieve the data faster, and they don't need to send many requests to the database to retrieve the data that they have before. Next on the far right, we have these four classes represent the data and the database for the system. We have the song class, the playlist class, the album class, and the artist class. We also have the player, these three associate classes for the relationship between the controller and the database. They are the player class. This player class is a normal player that offers music streaming functions such as the play the song, pause the song, skip to the next song, play the previous song, rewind. There are so many functions. And there is also two other download and payment associate classes that these are only initiated when the user requests to download a song from the database out on album. And those are not, there are commercial price. These are not free. Then these download and payment will help the user to record the transaction and also the system transaction, so it can be referred in the future if there are any problems. On this side, there is three classes that offers the emotion identifier functions. There are the uploaders, the image scanner, and the emotion identifier. They are all in dependency relationship because they all depend on each on the previous class to provide them with something. So for example, the uploader depends on the customer to upload an image. Image scanner depends on the uploader to provide with an image, and to perform its algorithm to analyze the image. The emotion identifier will basically obtain the results from the image scanner and then produce an appropriate format for the system to understand. And these are the two association classes, health tip and professor connection that stay between the emotion identifier and the controller class. These are used because they need the appropriate emotion to like provide the correct health tip to the user, and also they need to have this emotion to connect to the professor as a information supplier. So next, I will be talking about the data flow diagram of the download song. So right here, we have the customer foreign entity. So the customer will send his info to the controller, and the controller will ask for the song quality option, and then it will also prompt the storage location from the user. So it's either the cloud database of the cloud database of the system or the local storage of the customer. And then the system will check for the for that location to see if it's eligible, and then it will check for the song price. So if the price of the song is free, so the payment details will be empty. But if they're not, then the customer needs to pay, and the payment details will be recorded right here. The customer can also decline the payment, so it will return back the cancellation message pop up to let the customer know that the transaction has been closed. Or if the user chose to pay for the price, then the system will validate and process the payment, and the processed payment will be saved into the transaction database. This will be used in the future when customer has complaints or asks for a warranty, then it can be used, or the system perform its business analysis. And then after process payment is saved, the song is retrieved and returned back to the retrieved and returned to the user. So the song will be saved into the customer local song storage or the cloud storage if the customer wants to. And now we will pass on to Hugh to talk about his data flow diagram. Please, Hugh.
Hi, it's Hugh again, and I will be talking about my get emotion identify and upload image data flow diagram. The graph represents the data flow when a user uploads a picture to a music app by either camera or local storage. After going through the face recognition AI, the data will be stored in the warehouse named emotions in order to form an emotional histories. These data will be analyzed later for the report warehouse. In addition, if needed, external entities could access these data, for example, the well-being professional, the supervisor, and the user themselves. The next person is Ka, will continue talking about his use case.
So this is our get activity report data flow diagram. Firstly, the user click on the profile button in the home page. Then the system will open the profile page where the user can click on get my report button. In my report from option page, where the user have 3 options to choose from, which is daily, monthly, and yearly report. User can choose one of them, and then the system will check for validity, where the system will check for data in the store emoji database, whether it is enough data or not. If it's not enough data, it will follow up a error message to inform the user, and user can click on go back button to return to the profile page. And if it is enough data, it will open a report data page.
Hi, my name is Lan, and I'm going to talk to you about the data flow diagram for get health tips. So first, when users press health tips on the screen, a request would be sent to the server along with the user ID, and the server would then get the health tip for the store report and filter it with the received user ID to find the health tip for that particular user, and then send that back to display the health tips on the screen. I'm going to talk to you about the project development plan. So we have identified 4 phases in this project. The first one is initialization, in which we prepare the necessary resource, documentation for the project, and we identify the requirement in this phase. Second one is system design, where we produce a guideline for building the project. And third, we have good implementation, where we will start building the project. And 4 is testing, we will verify and validate the product. So because the schedule is pretty tight, about only 2 months, and the project is due to change. So we choose the agile method and divide project into 4 sprints. Each sprint will be about 2 weeks long, and we will have an initialize phase at this part. Okay. Okay, so first one in initialization, we will try to first identify the business need and expectation of customer, and we try to define the goal and scope, and determine if we can do that requirements in this requirement analysis. And all of that, we'll try to do that at the week 1 of initialize. Next up, we will try to identify the risk and plan the mitigations, any possible internal or external risk. Next up is plan and task allocation. We have to ensure that everybody in this project know what their role and responsibility is, so that we would ensure a seamless working process. Okay, so next up would be document preparations. So these 2 tasks will occur at the end of each sprint because there will be change. So yeah, we would try to modify it at the end of each sprint. Okay. Next up, we have system design. In this at first, when we receive the requirement, we will try to produce the backlogs and put it on Trello for collaboration and tracking. Next up, we have user interface. So we at this time here, we will produce the first wireframe and get feedback from stakeholder, and then modify the design accordingly. And at the end of sprint 2, we should be have the final user interface design. Yes, this also for the database. And for prototyping, at the initializing phase, we should be have a prototype, a wireframe, so that everybody understand what would we build. And then at the end of sprint 2, because we have the user interface and database, we produce a more detailed prototype. So you can understand that better and have any modifications. Next up is code implementation and development. This would occur in all of the sprint and start in the last week of initialize. We do that for both front end and back end. And for our fix bugs, because after each test, we will have a report. So based on that report, we will try to fix the bugs at the end of each sprint. Next up, we have testing. So for test specification, before each test, there must be a creation of test case. Yes, so they must be for each sprint. And there would be unit test, module test, integration test, system test, and acceptance testing, and occur as the following schedule. Okay, so thank you. for listening.